Hey guys, welcome yet again to another Loomian Legacy Sweep. I'm Mr. Lucky Luke, and today's one we got ourselves a Obsidrugon sweep. Yes, boys and girls, it is time for a little remaster of ours, kind of. You could say that again. Today we're gonna be showcasing the Obsidrugon set, a new Obsidrugon moveset that we're gonna be running. Not like the ones we did last time, because that one was not a great one. But certainly, this one's going to be more of an improvement, let's say that. Now, today we're going to be obviously running a Obsidrugon move strategy with this new little model, which, by the way, Obsidrugon's new model looks kind of awesome. It definitely got an improvement. I definitely like that. Its stats, I think, got a little buff there, and it's still the same type, obviously. Its stat has still, I mean, you can see it has a little buff there. You can see it has a change a little bit. I think it's got a little buff. You can say that. It gets 100 and 100 in energy and attack, melee attack, 99 for a melee, health, 99 on health. Melee defense is amazingly good because it has 124, very good actually. And then the other stat is just kind of very not that good. It has 72 on range attack and 65 for both range defense and speed. So we are obviously going to run a Obsidrugon set using not a complicated one, but something that we all been using before. So today this is going to be a little interesting because you're probably wondering whether you can run a Obsidrugon, because you can run differently because Obsidrugon usually is one of those Loomians that usually goes with its defense, and most people obviously runs a body crash set. So you're probably wondering, well, this will be a body crash set, won't it? Well, actually, for today's one, we're actually going to run its melee attack to make this a little bit of a challenge, just a little bit actually, because um with obviously the most predictable people, like obviously expecting like, oh well, here comes the body crash and Barouge and Beast Lumber set. But today we're gonna be running a speedy DRUDGE set. Now, speaking of DRUDGE, this Loomian gets the move DRUDGE. Now we're gonna be obviously running a melee attacking one because of it, and just because of it running a melee, you think it's probably gonna be good because of it has 100 on melee attack. Well, surprisingly, it has a little complicated counter against it, because here's the thing. Obsidrugon itself only has a very, very small variety of moves it really can use that has a melee attack. I mean, let's be real, we're not going to run a range attack, unless you guys want me to in the future. It's not exactly has the best cover. I mean, it has Mega Chomp, it gets Earthquake and Body Slam, and let's see here, it gets Primal Slash. But really, I mean, you can see clearly it has a small variety. I mean, Body Slam is a pretty decent move to have. I mean, it's a typeless one, or simple. It's like I'd rather call it typeless. Don't ask. So it generally requires me to do a little setup in order to get this one. So we eventually got it. Because it did take me, I believe, only a few hours, I think it took me before I got the sweeps, and obviously I'm going to show you it for today's one. It has a few weaknesses, being light, metal, and ancient, and has a very variety of resistance. The others are just neutral, but we're mostly going to be not too much worry about these. I mean, I did again, it's only by our speed that is the problem. Now, running with a speedy set with only 65, it's kind of a complicated one, since most people, like I said, run a body crash set, so most people run like a tanky, bulky set. So that is why I wanted to do a little challenge using its speedy set. Now, also it gets sharp edges, premonition, and resilience, which it really didn't have a really much of effect for today's sweep. I mean, I really didn't need any of these abilities too much. But most likely you would rather run sharp edges or resilience. For today, we're just running a resilience set. It didn't really have. I mean, it's probably, in my opinion, a little better if you're running more of a defensively Obsidrugon, but it's up to you. But without further ado, that's pretty much it. And let's roll into the first battle. And I hope you enjoy this one. And yeah, we will see you in a bit. Alright, so let's jump into the first battle here, and hope you guys are going to enjoy today's battle. Now, for the first battle, we actually went for a couple random sets, and I actually wanted to try a little bit of a randomized items and see if what would work the best. And for the first battle here, we actually went for a Rage plushie set, and for the second battle, we went for something else, which I'll show you in the second battle. Now, first of all, the first battle here against this user who's going to have a Bonery, and it's going to go for the light. It's going to just copy my Geklo. It looks fresh and nice, looks pretty awesome, and it's going to go for the light dash, do absolutely nothing. So I thought, well, they're probably going to either stay in or swap it out. It's probably best for them to swap out. I'm going to go for the important, and all I'm going to do is do a little sneaky surprise, and I'm going to go for first a Boom Bash, try to scare him off, and if they want to stay, that's totally up to them. So I went for the Boom Bash, and they went for the Light Dash, and then I thought, well, this could be a good opportunity now to go for the Tribute, and maybe I can bait them to use Light Dash on my Obsidrugon, get my Rage plushie, and see if I can get the sweep with it. So hope you enjoyed today's battle, and I'll tell you more about the second battle, what I've been running, and that's pretty much it. Alright, enjoy today's sweep. Alright, so that first battle actually went very good, surprisingly. There were a few moments that I actually could have ended a sweep, but they decided to lose probably on purpose or something, because I don't know what they were doing, but that's what they were doing, and I managed to get a sweep because of it. But yeah, the first battle, they actually could have won that one if they just swapped them back and forward to their Bonery, like something, just swap back and forward to something random, let it lose, then swap back to Bonery. They could have actually taken all of my stats and then reverse swept me. So that's something that was a big mistake of them. But anyway, so the next battle here, we got against this random user. Again, I did most of these battles, took me random battles in order to get these sweeps. Like, I did have to try a battle, like, most of them had to be at least, had like 4 badges or something in order to approve the sweep. And I didn't know whether they were like a pro or a noob, because I like I said, I did this just bunch of random battles in order to get these sweeps, because I didn't decide then to use that team specifically. That were on them. But anyway, so we got a battle against the user, and we basically just went for a tase. That's pretty much it. And then I went for a bunch of static shock in case they wanted to swap back and forth, swap back to something, or swap into something else. And maybe I can have a chance to paralyze them. But anyway, so now I'm going to go for the important, and all I have to do is, I think I went for a nice little tribute here. I think I went for Boom Bash. I believe I did. And I went for a Boom Bash, trying to get a nice daze, which surprisingly, I actually managed to get a daze on it. So that was actually even more perfect, because now I can go for a tribute and get a nice little attempt to get a nice little Obsidrugon sweep. With this time, I'm holding the milkshake. So can we get a sweep with holding the milkshake? Maybe so, I don't know. Let's find out. And in today's second battle, and enjoy the sweep. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoy the Obsidrugon sweep, and let's take a look at this amazing powerhouse, you could say. Not exactly a powerhouse, but it almost says powerhouse, let's just say that. Now, for today was one, we went for a little bit of a between a test run and see if I can get a sweep with using a bit of a mix between Rageful Plushie and a Milkshake, which was something I wanted to test to see which would be the best item for it. But one thing I actually never told you guys is that was actually an attempt. So the thing is that I originally had a couple of takes using other items, but it actually worked out very good for these two items specifically. The first few, I think I did tempted using the Rageful Plushie and then the Milkshake. However, when I tried to use them specifically, the opponent didn't want to bring me to that certain, like, there were like a few opponents, like for example, a few of them didn't want to use super effective moves against my Rageful plushie, and then there were a few opponents who just either made me swap by itself, by Driving Force, for example, or have a move that just bring me to almost halfway and then finish me off. So I ended up having to run a little bit of a risky move because like it did take me a little bit of a while, but eventually I did get it. Now. So for today, let's start with the personality. Let's go ahead and so we don't mix up our speech. So this one was a brawny, very clumsy Moveset with Rageful plushie was the first battle, and the second one we went for a milkshake. I decided I wanted to try one of these two and see whether if one of them is better or the other one is worse. And by my miracle, I kind of think Milkshake is a little bit better if you'd rather not relying on too much hitting. Because, I mean, you can run Rageful plushie, that's totally up to you. As long as you have the opponent by a surprise not running a Body Crush set. Which, by the way, most people run Body Crush, obviously, because it's the most common Obsidrugon moveset you run anyways with it. And that's why I wanted to try a little speedy set for the little small challenge. The abilities and the moves I gave it were Earthquake, Primal Slash, Drudge, and Mega Chomp. The ability we gave it was Resilience, and that was pretty much it. So we went for the couple Drudge because that was the only way to increase our melee attack, except for Weakness Policy, which we didn't want to run too much of that. And we went for a Drudge to increase our speed and our melee attack. So we have Primal Slash for our signature, or not signature move, but our only strongest type, their ancient type. Then we have Earthquake for our coverage and Mega Chomp as well. You can change them to depending on whether you want to run something else. I mean, there only are here's the thing, there aren't very many variety of moves to give the Obsidrugon. Like, it doesn't have the best coverage. Like, in my opinion, the only strongest melee attack it gets, really, that, in my opinion, would be a best way to sweep with, is to use moves like Earthquake, Primal Slash, Mega Chomp, and Body Slam. Unless if you want to run a bulky set, you're going to run Body Crush, obviously, with Mike, specifically a effort valued with max defense or health or something. It's totally up to you. For today, we went a little bit somewhere like health and a little energy, just to make a little bit withstanding the hit, and then I can go for a couple of energy. I think, if I'm being honest, guys, I think I went like this. I went for max attack and max speed, and then the last two, I went for a couple looks on the internet or the YouTube Obsidrugon PvP recommendation, and I went for someone random. I think it was Sonic or Speedy Sonic or something. I think it was, and I went for his decision. I went for just click a random video and see whether would you prefer run bulk or more low energy or health or something. I just went for that, and I just went for 96 for health and 4 for energy, just to see what I'm missing. So yeah. Which I have no issue with that. The strategy is simple. Basically, you just go for a bunch of Drudge. If you're running a Rageful plushie, make sure the opponent doesn't attack too much on its range defensive set, because being not a very range defensively bulky one, it has that one frail weakness. So if you don't want to get a super effective hit by a range defense, just rely to make sure the opponent is at least on a couple range defense drop. So you must have at least, if you want to, in my opinion, if you don't want to get hit by a range attacking super effective move, make sure the opponent has at least a tribute, or has them tribute. Otherwise, you're pretty much set to go to withstanding a couple hits on its melee defense. Which, by the way, it has no issue with sending any hits on it. So it's pretty much okay letting them hit you with one range attack or melee attack. Sorry. For the milkshake, I wanted to go for somewhere between safe and risky. So the first battle, we went for one Drudge. We actually outsped pretty much everything, surprisingly good. The second one, I went for a milkshake just to see if it would be preferred better option, and that went actually pretty nicely. Also, probably because I had Taze and a drop on them, so I mean it makes sense. I did get a sweep with that. So, in my general opinion, that's something you guys gotta decide whether if you want to run Rageful plushie or a milkshake set. But besides that, that is pretty much it for today's Obsidrugon sweep. It wasn't super complicated to run. Just make sure your opponent doesn't have any very fretting ones. I'm not sure if I would consider there's too many counters in this one. I mean, a very bulky melee defensive one could be a bit of a problem. Let me see here. So, I mean, I would say I'm not sure of how many there are many Loomians that has a good counter against Obsidrugons. Depending on which one you like. Because here's the thing, in my opinion, guys. Because here's the thing, because I don't run PvP in my general life. Because I don't like PvP. I never liked it, and that's one thing I want to just get out of the way. But in my opinion, few things can maybe withstand it depending on what effort values you run for specific Loomians. Not all Loomians are able to, well, out-counter the Obsidrugon because it just has a couple Drudge and a couple range attack, melee attack. It still has a few counters to, well, deal with it, so it's not a big issue. But yeah, that's just something a little something simple I want to say. Also, the battles. Let's talk about actually the battles. So, one thing about this two sweeps is that I got a little bit lucky because the opponent actually, because here's the thing, let's talk about it. First battle, the opponent could have clearly ended my sweep using Bone Wreath, but decided to want to stick around and help me get the sweep. The second battle actually was a little bit something that I kind of wanted to bring up. Now, when you saw that Soul Nectar, which by the way, that POV screen was actually kind of crazy because that never happened in my sweeps. But one thing I found out that's a little bit strange for it is it had, let me actually see if I have one of my random Soul Nectars I need to just borrow. Just give me one Soul Nectar, just need one. Oh, there's one. Okay. So, let's go ahead and click it here. And Soul Nectar actually used Blind Spot Batter, which is a melee attacking move. One thing I confused about that is that it could have used Luster Loot or Gamma Pulse. However, they decided to do a melee attack on something that has like +2 or 3 melee defense, which kind of confused me for that sweep because I was ready to tank a range attack move, but instead they decided to go for a melee defensive move and actually kind of gave me the sweep. I mean, I don't know if I would have won this battle if I definitely would have lost. I'm actually going to say this right here. If they went for a range attacking move, I would guarantee myself to would have lost this battle because the Soul Burst Dakuda would have won one shot, able to take me out with its Electro Blast. I think it was one of the signature move or the Soul Burst move. So I would have probably lost that one, but then again, it is a little like something between, because like I mean I'm still able to impressively outstanding with an actual Soul Burst move, which I mean. Normally, its range defense is awful, and Soul Burst, the Kudai is very powerful. One of the most powerful Soul Burst. One of them are most powerful ones. In my opinion, it definitely has a very good range defense, range attack. Sorry, but somehow still lived that one, and I'm pretty happy about it. Besides that actually is pretty much it for today. Really, those battles. I mean, it was pretty between it. It was like it wasn't that super complicated, but making sure you're running the right item for this team is something you're gonna have to rely on. Because like here's the thing, you can't exactly just go in the first battle and just go directly swap it into it. You have to at least set up on them because you can't really. Because if you want to go directly into a sweeping the opponent, that's totally up to you, but most sweeps needs to require you to set up before you do any of that. I didn't really actually need to use Taze on the Monogon really, but I did it anyways just to make it less of a threat. And then that's actually really it. I think I explained most of the things about today's battle, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Actually, there's something I need to do before we end the sweep, or end this video. I need to check something out. I want to see what was my original Gleaming Obsidrugon set, because here's the thing. Here's the one I used to use back in, I think it was back in, yeah, it was back in, yeah, like a year ago when I did my first Obsidrugon sweep. And this was the set. This was the melee attacking bulky set, which I ran max 100 for attack, for Earthquake, and then I had Brace for basically boosting my melee defense, as I have sharp edges and a couple of range defense bulk on it. So yeah, I'm running max health, max range defense with a little attack on it, so make sure the Earthquake can at least do a small damage. But in my opinion, I would have now changed my 100 melee attack to 100 defense, obviously, and changed my nature or personality from brawny to maybe slushy or something. Maybe like I'm running a tanky or actually robust. Robust would have actually be better off if you wanted to run like a bulky, robust, clever, very clumsy sets. It could definitely work. But again, that is totally up to you guys in the comments whether if you want to run this or not. But yeah. Anyways, besides that is pretty much it. I've talked a little bit too much now, but I just want to say that's, no matter what you run on Obsidrugon, it's going to be probably one of most people, at least in my opinion, most people's favorites. Is this considered pseudo-legendary or roaming? I mean, actually not really a pseudo-roaming, but actually it definitely does look like a pseudo-roaming in my opinion. Definitely looks like one. I don't know. Besides that, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Subscribe, like the video, comment down below if you guys want me to have a suggestion, if you want me to sweep with something else. I have already seen someone in my last video, someone asked me to do a Florence sweep, which by the way, I will eventually do a remake of a Florence sweep with a Soul Burst one, like a Fly Trap, Fly Chomp sweep with it. But I will have to wait until the creator in this game will add animation on the Soul Burst move, because otherwise I'm not going to sweep with using as a smaller punch. I need the actual animation. I want to see the actual full extent of this animation, because we have Soul Burst, Airstrike, and then Electro Blast or Burst, or whatever you call it. It definitely looked very cool for it having an animation. So I'm definitely gonna wait for an animation before I get a sweep with it. So yeah. Until then, if you have any other recommendation, feel free to ask in the comments or check out my playlist. It's up to you. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching today's video. Hope you guys enjoy this one. And that's pretty much it. Stay lucky out there. Take care, boys and girls. And stay lucky out there and take care.